apologies for lateness. Was my roommate broke something in the kitchen that was important, and we had to fix it. It all worked out. Yes. Oh wait, I need to take control.
Yeah.
Cool. Apparently there's a secret 10th question if you squint really hard, which is something about traveling, which you might not be doing. Vaccinations haven't really reached us yet, sadly. Yes. So this lesson, which Evelyn has assuredly told you about already, we're going to talk about how to sound Dutch, and I'm going to talk about how to sound Dutch, like with the word, not with the words you say, but with the sounds you make. And to start with, we have the basic things you already sort of know. The Dutch has a few sounds which are not straightforward to pronounce, both if you know them, but especially if you don't know them. If you just look at the letters, it doesn't make any sense why that specific sound would come out. These are a couple. Mostly they are the diphthongs that I'm pretty sure we talked about. It's kind of hard to keep track if we did, because we talk about it a lot in the beginner's course. And I think we mentioned this. But if not, very brief recap. These are a few of the weird sounds. So we have EU and OU. OE, sorry, not OU. OU is not a diphthong. It's just a normal sound in disguise. It's written with two letters, but it's just kind of one sound. Ooh. Het boek zoeken. It's very tempting to pronounce it as oe or something, or a lot of German speakers pronounce it as like because that's a way to write apostrophe umlaut, I think, in German. But that is a very different sound. Sounds more like the sound on the left, EU, which is pronounced as either, if you're Flemish, or if you're Dutch, you would say and the difference is with the Flemish version, you say it's not a diphthong, you just say one sound, neus, keuken. And Dutch people diphthongize it, and they add the u at the end. So it goes from to u. Keuken, nose. If you want to be very dramatic about it. Nose. So that's one of the weirder ones. But there are more, as you know. Oh, do we? No, okay. Apparently it is not mentioned here. Why is that not? Okay. So we also have the other two difficult ones, like the AU and the OU, pronounced ow. Those are not very difficult because ow is in a lot of different languages. Most importantly, English. How is or ow is pronounced sort of the same in English as in Dutch. So if you say the word hout, it's OU. You know how to pronounce that. Just think hout with a T. Easy. Just think how to pronounce it, you know? And then the EI and the UI, those are the tricky ones. EI, is pronounced because of Albert Heijn, is pronounced as A. German speakers tend to pronounce that more often as I than as A. I starts with an A and A starts with an E. I. Just a slight thing, but this is the nitty-gritty Dutch pronunciation lesson, so I'm going to be nitty-gritty about this. And the other one is ui, as in house or uithof. You know how to pronounce this, of course, but just in case you forgot, it is, of course, not pronounced as UI, ui, or ui, or ui. And it is also not pronounced as ow, which you hear a lot. And it makes sense, because ow is a sound that makes more sense to associate with this letter combination, and it's a sound you're more familiar with. So you often hear house and Outhof, especially from German speakers. But au is pronounced is different, whereas au starts at a, like in I don't know, and goes to u, au, au. Huis or au starts at well, okay, technically it starts at and then goes to u, au, au. But if you want to make it easier to pronounce, because then you have to think about how do I say like it is the in oeuvre in French. But if you are not well versed in French like I am, then you need to think, how do you say that again? And then but you can approximate it pretty well by using another Dutch sound first, which is the a, like two a's together make a instead of a, and then go to an u to use. Au, 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 au. Kind of sound like an ambulance. Au, au. So the difference that, and if you do that, then you will cross like vowelly to the If you start from a and then go to u, au, you automatically get there. So the main difference between au and au is that au is in the back of your mouth and au is really all the way in the front of your mouth. I'm not sure if that helps you with pronouncing it, but that is the key difference. So those are the letters, the vowels, and we've talked about vowels, and I can talk about vowels for many more hours. That sort of rhymes, but let's not. Let's turn to no, that's boring. Consonants, and here are some secret tips about consonants that we haven't discussed yet. One of the key features of sounding more Dutch, or making your accent more Dutch, to be specific, is that in Dutch we use very little aspiration in our plosives. So plosives are things like p and t and k, because the sound kind of explodes from your mouth. In English, you do this quite a bit. So you say park, kind of dramatically, whereas in Dutch you say park. And in other languages, this can be even more dramatic of a difference between p and p, or p and p, that they are completely different letters and are used kind of two words can be the same and only differ in the aspiration. Well, most European languages don't, and most of you are from Europe, so that might not be applicable to you. But what is applicable is that in Dutch we don't do this at all, basically. So we don't like to expulse air from our mouths. We just try not to. And this is maybe I should get rid of this thing from my microphone, because that is actually made to block that sound. So this would make the difference maybe a little bit more clear. So in English you say, or you would say, park, and in Dutch you would say more like park, park. So very little air out of your mouth. And just doing that makes your accent sound a lot more Dutch if you want to put on a Dutch accent in English, which is good practice for putting on a Dutch accent in Dutch. So if you were to say, the sentence that demonstrates this is, can I park my car in the park, in English? And if you want to make that very Dutch, then you would get rid of all your aspiration and say, can I park my car in the park? And that already sounds a lot more Dutch. But that's not the only thing, of course, that we do with other things. Some small details in Dutch language that isn't obvious if you're not, haven't listened to Dutch all your life. So a lot of things, you can kind of easily guess where the stress of a word is in Dutch, because it's very regular. It is almost always on the first vowel or the first syllable of the word, except if that syllable is a unemphasized one, which doesn't have emphasis. And what happens is that often the second or third syllable is also one of these. So we have things with an I, IJ. If they occur at the end of the word, they are unemphasized. So instead of saying natuurlijk, we say natuurlijk. This also is somewhat semantically important because natuurlijk means nature, dead body, while natuurlijk means naturally, which is not, I think, something that someone would be confused by, but emphasizing the like can come off a bit morbid. One that you already know is that the en at the end of words don't have a lot of emphasis, and often we even leave out the n entirely. So we don't say, often we definitely don't say kopen, we say kopen. And more often than not, we say kope or kopen and just kind of mumble away the n. Doing that again, peak Dutch. Another thing related to consonants, which is kind of difficult to pick up on, is that at the end of words, we don't voice consonants. So you have probably noticed in Dutch that we don't have V's or Z's at the ends of words, because those are voiced. Like the Z, if you hold your finger here, you can feel that it is voiced compared to the unvoiced counterpart, which is the S. So Z, your voice box vibrates, and the S, it doesn't. S. And in Dutch, we really fucking hate having those kinds of sounds at the end of words. The unvoiced ones we like way more, and apparently we don't like voiced words, we don't like consonants, we don't like aspirated ones. We just want to make everything very simple and bland, apparently. But so for V and Z, we have a rule that they just don't happen at the end of words. But for the B and the D, we do not. So they do occur at the end of words or syllables more clearly, but it's kind of difficult to see where a syllable ends sometimes. But you don't voice them. So we have this word here, these two words. We have laat with a T, and then we have this other word, which is pronounced exactly the same, laat. It's not pronounced laad. It's kind of overemphasized, but you get the point. So in English, you would say load. You wouldn't say load. But in Dutch, you don't distinguish between words that end on a D and words that end on a T. Because we just don't like having voiced consonants at the end of words. Kind of weird. But it also happens with B's, although less frequently. So the most common word you would see with this is the word heb, as in ik heb, I have. You wouldn't say ik heb. That sounds a bit dramatic. You would say it's ik heb. Or web, the web. Or those are kind of the most common ones. It doesn't happen that often, but when it does, it's a P instead of a B. All right, there's the N. And there's some other things. I can give you a few more pointers on vowels, because I just fucking love talking about vowels. Love these guys. A few things the Dutch people like to or do that's very different from English, and this is more how to do a Dutch accent in English, which is good practice again for doing a Dutch accent in Dutch. There's a few sounds in English that are not so easy for Dutch people. One of those is the th in those, but we don't have that in Dutch, so that doesn't help your Dutch. But another one is the word, and I'm very bad at pronouncing this, pull. This O is like in between an and an U. It's a very difficult word for Dutch people to pronounce. And it's just useful to know because it shows how Dutch people would usually pronounce this is with a Dutch U. And Dutch U is always pronounced as Well, always, when it is lax. And so Dutch people say pull or something. Well, that's a bit dramatic. Or they would go the other way and say pool, which is also kind of off. But in Dutch, there is no constant vowel in between those two that has any semantic meaning. So we don't distinguish between those. Another one of those is distinguishing between like the vowel kind of between and o. Like in English, you would say, in American English, you would say that if you touch something, you go, ah. So that's hot, hot, something in between that. So I'm also not very good at that. Like in British English, you would say, oh, that's hot. But in American English, you would say more of an sound. And I don't have a really good lesson for what that means for your Dutch pronunciation, other than we do make very clear the distinguish between and o, as in bot, which means bone, and bat, which means bath. And there is really no way of there's really no ambiguity between those. And in some languages, you do have some vowels in between. Now, that's enough vowels. Just like English and German, Dutch has a lot of vowels. Other languages, like Romance languages and I don't know, Japanese or something, they have a lot fewer, like 5 or 7 on a good day. But in Dutch, we have like 15. So that's a difficult thing to get used to. But for that, you should check out my app. That will definitely be done at the end of this thing. I am making progress. This weekend I solved 2 bugs that have been bugging me for like months. So we're getting there. That ends the promotion. Our other sponsor is Squarespace now. That is the end of my vowels. And now Evelien will tell you some more about words.
Yes. Zal ik beheer overnemen?
Yes.
Okay. So there are, of course, also some words we use a lot in Dutch, like more when you're just talking with friends, or just on a daily basis. So that's spreektaal. And some of those words are, for example, hè. In English, well, with these spreektaalwoorden, there isn't like a direct or correct translation. It's just, we throw it in between a lot of sentences just when you're talking with people. So there's not a direct translation, but there are some near translations. So for example, hè, you would translate it in English to isn't it? So isn't it? Or what? So for example, this sentence, dit gaat best goed hè? So this is going pretty well, isn't it? Of mooie jas hè? Nice coat, isn't it? Or in the other sentence, hè? Welke jas bedoel je? So, what? What coat are you talking about? So that's hè. We use it a lot. The same is with joh. Joh, you would probably translate it to of course, or maybe even dude, like that coat is a really nice, dude. So that's a really nice coat, dude. So joh. No, of course not. It's really ugly. So that's probably when you use joh meest, or maybe like in a sentence, we kunnen dat een andere keer doen, joh. So we can do it another time, dude. It kind of, it's...
it doesn't have like the same, I guess, age or restriction or connotation as dude has.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that people like. I feel like people my age don't say "yo" that often. No. I feel like I hear it's more like this my mom would say, like their age, but not. Yeah. I mean, it's not weird to say it otherwise, but it's not super common.
No. Yeah, that's true. It's a little bit old-fashioned in Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's move on to another word. Now. Now it's like, well, so, but in a kind of surprise. So, nou, dat was weer gezellig. Well, that was really fun. Of, wat vind jij van die jas? Nou, ik vind het niet heel mooi. Well, I don't really like it. But you can also use it in more of context like now or right now at the moment. In the sentence like, nou gaan we lekker eten. Now we're gonna eat really good. We're gonna have a really good meal. So that's like in another context can also mean at this moment. So instead of nu, we use now. But it's most often used to say like, well, wat zei je nou? That's also like, wat zei je nu? So what did you say now? But yeah, it's most often used to say, nou, dat was weer gezellig. Nou, dat was weer leuk. Nou, ik snap er helemaal niks van. So, well, I don't really get it. That's also possible.
Big filler word. It's kind of, you want to start a sentence, but you don't really know how. And it's so, well, that was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So that's the word now. Then another word, hoor. This is a word I use it really like all the time. Like behind every sentence, you can put hoor. There's not really a rule for hoor. It's just you can probably translate it to like you know. So graag gedaan hoor. You're welcome, you know. In that kind of context. But you can also maybe say when you say, oh ja hoor, it's just yeah, that's okay. Ja hoor. Or nee hoor, then you would say nah, no problem. So that's more of those. But I think it's most time just so yeah, you know, like used in the context of you know. So graag gedaan hoor. Ik kan wel even betalen hoor. I can just pay, you know. Of wilt u het bonnetje? Nah, thank you. Or yeah, I'd like to. Of die jas is echt lelijk. Ik vind hem best mooi hoor. And this context, like in the last part, is more of like a contradiction. To give it more power. You can also say, ik vind hem best mooi. But when you put the hoor behind it, it's like emphasizing your statement. So it's more, ja, ik vind het best mooi hoor. It's like you're not really agreeing with the other person, giving it more power.
Yeah, it's indeed like it's vaguely kind of it gives like affirmation or like extra. It simultaneously it makes something. It can make a sentence more affirmative in the sense that I stand behind this more strongly, or kind of the opposite, that you say like it's not it's okay, instead of it makes it less strong, which is pretty difficult to figure out after a while. Like in the first one, it makes the sentence a bit weaker. Ik kan wel even betalen. Oh, no, second one. Ik kan wel even betalen hoor. I can pay. But in the last one, it makes it kind of more strong. Ik vind hem best mooi hoor. I think it's kind of nice actually. Dutch people really like to use the word whore, which kind of sounds mean if you just say it out of context like that. But it's kind of difficult, I guess, like these filler words to kind of directly describe what they mean. Just like the word like I don't like. I'm saying it myself. If you were to give like a very precise description of what it is, you won't really get it. This is more something, I guess, that you have to pick up through just all that context.
Yeah, there are, I guess, two other words that are used a lot as just fill-up words. So toch, in English, this is pretty a good translation of right. This is pretty obvious. So, ik heb mijn fiets op slot gedaan, toch? So, I locked my bike, right? Or, die jas was echt lelijk, toch? That coat was really ugly, right? So that's actually, toch is just right in English with a question mark. But you can also, in some sentences, to give a contradiction. So you're saying one thing, but you're giving a contrast or contradiction with another thing, other sentence. So, oh, I really like this coat, but, or despite, I like that one better. So, ik vind die jas heel mooi, maar en dan toch vind ik die andere jas mooier. So that's also in the contrast way you can use toch. Then, there's dan. Translated to then, not really like in a time manner, but more also just a fill-up word. Ga je die kopen dan? Are you gonna buy it then? Or like in the sentence of, zullen we morgen dan afspreken? Shall we meet tomorrow then? In those, yeah, it's just also a fill-up word, dan. Yeah, I think these two you can translate these two to English pretty well. Yeah. Oh, and these are also used a lot. Natuurlijk is the original word, but in Dutch we shorten it to tuurlijk. Natuurlijk, tuurlijk. It means the same, but just 2 letters less. So maybe easy when you're typing and you want to use your fingers less, so you say tuurlijk instead of natuurlijk. Not really different. You also have it with hij. We can shorten it to apostrophe and on i. For example, ik dacht dat hij niet zou komen. I thought he wouldn't show up. So, ik dacht dat die niet zou komen. Then it's kind of, you blend it into the sentence. Ik dacht dat hij niet zou komen. You don't really say, ik dacht dat hij niet zou komen. Ik dacht dat die niet zou komen. So then it's, hij en i means the same, but just in spreektaal we can use the apostrophe. But I also, when I'm texting someone, I leave the apostrophe out most of the time. But in formal speaking language, you have to use apostrophe. But when you're typing and you just leave the apostrophe out, the other person will definitely know what you're saying. And the same is with het. Het is shortened to het. So also an apostrophe and on the T. Ik stuur het straks op. Instead of ik stuur het straks op, ik stuur het straks op. So you also blend, you are saying it more behind each other instead of ik stuur het straks op, ik stuur het straks op, ik stuur het. You don't really hear the T anymore. So it's probably not that important. When you say ik stuur het straks op, you're emphasizing het and but when you say ik stuur het straks op, you take the attention away from it. So it's probably not that important. And
similar to what you do with jij and je and wij and we.
Yeah, exactly. And there's another word we've discussed that last week, I guess, like zoon, or just mention it really short, zoon instead of zo'n, so such a, and on zoon is Z-O''N. We also shorten, instead of zo'n, you say zoon. Het was zo'n leuke avond. It was such a lovely evening. That's like the common Dutch spreektaal. So when you're using this, people will say, wow, you're Dutchy.
Yes, they'll just come up to you and like start applauding.
Yeah.
And there's another one that says in your booklet on page 52, but not here. Ik also very often gets shortened to k. For instance, if you want to say, I don't know, you could say ik weet het niet. But if you want to, I don't know, if you're talking, you would probably say, well, yeah, you can say ik weet het niet. The K, just the I, you just leave out the I, and also the HE of the head. Ik weet het niet. But if you're not aware of that's what people do, then ik weet het niet, then you don't really, it sounds very different than ik weet het niet. So it's good to know. Yes. All right. Then, yeah, very brief. We'll talk about the diminutives a bit, and then I want to do this exercise, and I have a fun idea for it. Fun, with my idea of fun, having you do something that's mildly difficult. We didn't really talk about diminutives, and also if you took the beginner's course, which I don't think any of you did, we also didn't talk about those because while they look simple, if we want to give you like a rule for how to make them, awfully complicated. So we don't. This is just, here we can read sort of how it works, and this is not even the actual rules. This is kind of just simplification of it. There's like 8 cases. But in general, we have 5 endings. We have just je, we have utje, we have kje, we have pje, and we have tje. And here it says when you do that. Very briefly.
Thomas, we can't see the slide of the...
Really? Oh, I didn't take... Oh, wait. Oh, that's weird. Can you not? Or is it just you?
Nee, I think you have to see...
I can see it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see it now. Maybe.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes. So very briefly, you just add je to the end of a word if it ends in a letter that is in section of ketchup. So if it's unvoiced, or if it's if it ends in a letter that's unvoiced, is the more general rule. So also D and B are included in here because at the end of words they are unvoiced. So taart, which means cake, becomes taartje. Web, which means web, becomes webje. It's like, oh, little spider, little webby spinnetje in zijn webje, of webbetje. You can also say webbetje. But yeah, that's what it is. You do utje for things that end on M, N, NG, L, or B, or things that end on ing without stress in the penultimate syllable. So this is why we didn't really go over this earlier, because it's just annoying. And I'm already bored saying all this. So here we have gum becomes gummetje. And see, it's not, this is already a lie. And it's not really a lie, but here it says ending with a vowel and an M. But also pje you get with words that end on M and have a tense vowel before. So gum has a lax vowel, but boom has a tense vowel before. And you don't say boometje, you say boompje. But bom, which means bomb, you say bommetje and not bompje. So see, annoying. Probably it will take less time for you to just start doing this intuitively than learning this. So I will just skip it. These are just the endings that you can see. Just try adding je, and if it just feels a bit weird, just try to slap in a T, and if that feels a bit weird, maybe try another letter. But you'll probably get there. This is not anything to waste our time on. What we will waste our time on, however, is exercise 1. Uitspraak, it doesn't say exercise. This. And I want to do something specific with this. So I will pronounce all these in a bit. And then we will give you some time to practice pronouncing these as Dutch as you can. Just try to really nail the pronunciation of just one of these. Just pick one that you think, I can nail that one. And try your best, like for 5 minutes, to just pronounce that the most Dutch way you can. And then you'll do that, and then we'll be very critical. No, we won't be that critical. But just because nowhere have we really practiced pronunciation in the way that you would get feedback on. And I think that's important. If you don't want strong feedback on this, if you think, yeah, whatever, you can mention that at the, before you say the thing or after you say the thing, and then I'll just pick out a few things, but otherwise I'll really try my best to be a bit critical because I think it's useful sometimes. Of course, you're all perfect in the way you are, and but this time I'll be the pronunciation Nazi for a bit. All right, but it will be useful to hear how these are pronounced. So here goes. Maybe I'll do it twice, depending on how long this takes, but I hope not. So first, bruinenbrodenbakker Ben Broekman baalt van het bruine broden bakken. 2. Het lijkt natuurlijk een leuk idee. 3. Gooi geen groene groenten in de grote gracht. If you pick that one, you got some balls. 4. Foute vrienden willen wel eens veel verpesten. Or a bit more colloquially, foute vrienden willen wel eens veel verpesten. 5. Jeukt jouw jeukende neus ook zoals mijn jeukende neus jeukt? 6. De vriendelijke visser viste 5 verroeste fietsen uit het vieze water van de vervuilde vijver. Fun words. This one was pretty fun to say. 7. Mijn wollen trui met lange mouwen houdt mij warm in koude maanden. That's a good rhythm to it. 8. In deze gezellige winkel verkopen ze hele goede gele hoeden voor een prima prijsje. Also nice. 9. In Scheveningen schieten ze elke zomer 500 vuurpijlen de blauwe hemel in. En 10. This one's my favorite. Even op het Rijkswijkse plein 55 ijzeren scheidhuispijpleidingen halen. Great. All right. I'll give you like, I don't know, 5-ish minutes to like pick one and practice pronouncing it and really try to nail it. You can also ask me to, or us to, for how do you pronounce this, or can you pronounce it again in the meantime? And then we'll have a little, I don't know, pronounce off. We'll see. All right. Good luck. And again, you have to just pick one that you like. Except for 2, you can't pick 2, sorry, because that one's too short. All right, you get 2 more minutes. Try to impress us. All right. Okay, I think to make this fair, because I do want to do this well for people who want that, I'm gonna ask you beforehand how annoying you want us to be about pronunciation. So you can say, oh, here are your options. 1, just normal, what you're used to from us, just so pretty annoying, but not very annoying. 2, bit more annoying, so also about kind of specific Dutch things, like the emphasis on the good thing. And 3, very annoying, just also accent. How Dutch does it sound? Very annoying. That is, I want to do that because I don't want to be super annoying to people who don't want me to be annoying. But I do want to offer a moment for proper pronunciation practice to those who want it. All right. I'll just go from right or left to me. Rieke, how annoying do you want us to be?
You can be very, very annoying.
Great, love it. Yeah, which one did you?
The 6th one says.
Okay.
De vriendelijke visser viste 5 verroste fietsen uit het vieze water aan een vervuilde vijver.
Good. Could you say it again?
De vriendelijke visser viste 5 verroste fietsen uit het vieze water van de vervuilde. En voor de laatste ik denk vijver.
Yes. Nice. Very good. Okay. I think what I'm going to be annoying about. So you said visser and viste instead of visser and viste.
Visser.
Yeah, could you say that? Visser?
Visser?
Yes. And could you try to pronounce the R at the end a bit more clearly?
Visser? Visser?
Visser. Yeah. Are you German or?
Yes.
All right. How would you say the R in a German word? What's a German word? Fuck. Something that starts with an R.
Apfel.
Apfel?
Mm-hmm.
An R, sorry.
Okay. Keine
your name, yeah. How do you pronounce your name?
Rieke.
Oh, okay, yeah. Could you use that R at the end of visser?
Visser? Visser?
Mm-hmm. But to me, maybe that's the mic, but to me it sounds like you're saying visser instead of visser. That's a bit. Yes.
Visser.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay.
En otherwise, vieze 5, verroeste fietsen, uit het vieze water. No, otherwise it was very good. Also the vervuilde and vijver, very nice. It sounded very good. Nice. Could you do it once more? Just because you did pick 3, so I'm gonna make you do it 3 times.
De vriendelijke visser viste 5 verroste fietsen uit het vieze water van de vervuilde vijver.
Yes, very
Yeah.
good. Nice.
Great.
Because indeed, with those things, it already sounds more Dutch. So nice. But that is the specific thing we're doing. It's not that you per se have to sound very Dutch to be competent Dutch speaker. Blah blah blah. You can have an accent. Blah 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 blah. But now this is annoying town for a bit. Okay, good. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Marina, Dobreva. Which one would you like, and how annoying do you want this to be?
I think 7, and be as annoying as you want.
Fantastic.
Okay, mijn wollen trouw met lange mouwen houdt mij warm in koude maanden.
Okay, could you do it again?
Mijn wollen trouw met lange mouwen houdt mij warm in koude maanden.
Very good. Yeah, I noticed that the trui sounds more like trouw than trui. Could you try the ui?
Trouw.
Yes, very good. Trui. Really an u at the end. Met lange mouwen houdt mij warm in koude maanden. Could you say it again?
The whole sentence?
Yes.
Mijn wollen trui met lange mouwen houdt mij warm in koude maanden.
Yes.
Yeah, I think also with hout, like I kind of sounds to me like you say hout with g h hout.
Yeah.
Maybe more like echt the H, so hout.
Hout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. I think that's really good.
Yeah. Maybe the hout. Could you say that again?
Hout.
Yeah, that sounds vaguely in the direction of the ui. Could you try to say it and end on the oo a bit more? So hout.
Hout.
Yeah, hout. Yeah. And I think if I want to be even more annoying, if you want to sound a bit more even more Dutch, then you would here the aspiration at the T also matters is a thing. So instead of hout, you would say hout. Make it very brief, and you basically try and make the T very short and keep it to yourself, kind of like. That's very good. Nice. I don't have any very specific things to comment on. So nice.
Okay.
Good job. Okay. Irene. Still haven't figured out which one I like more. Just such great names. Which one do you want to do, and how annoying do you want this to be?
I will choose the third one, and I will focus more on the G's because I struggle with the G's and I'm practicing them with my colleagues, and I want to prove myself I can do it. But I will just focus on the G's, so don't be that sharp. Let's say, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I make it understand.
Yeah, like do you want us to focus on the G's, or do you
Yes.
not want less
Yes,
focus
on
less?
the G's, like
Okay.
not some fluid or just not one, just focus on the G's, because normally
Cool.
I have one in one sentence and I can more or less avoid them. I don't have like 11 in one sentence.
All right. So which one are which one are you doing?
The third one.
Ah, nice. Very brave.
Okay, I will do it a bit slow, so that can like gooi, geen, gooien, groten in de grote gaart.
Could you try it again? Or
Gooi,
just do it again. That's not.
gooi, geen, groene, groenten in de grote gaart.
Yeah, I think the first G's sounded more to me natural than the latter, because in Dutch you can also pronounce the G in the in the softer sense. So you can say G or something like that. So instead of saying gooi, as I would do, you could say gooi. which is also perfectly, that's just a standard pronunciation. And I think maybe that would, I think it's better to pick one of those and go for it than, I guess, try to do the sometimes. That sounded to me that at the end that you sounded more like a than a y, while at the start sounded more like a y than a and if you don't want to do the or you just don't you don't like it or you find it hard or whatever, you can still try. But you could also just go for the y all the time. So instead of saying gooi geen groene groenten in de grote gracht, you can say well, this is not the best example because this is not my native way of saying it. Gooi geen it sounds kind of French at the moment. Groene groenten in de grote gracht. Oh, now it sounds very
Flemish.
very Flemish, but it is more in that Flemish direction. So
Yeah.
it is difficult, I guess, with the R.
Yeah, with the
Depending
R.
on how you pronounce it.
Yeah. Okay, could you maybe say the lot like in de grote gracht? Could you say that again?
In de grote gracht.
Yeah, because of the air, you're kind of saying KG, so kracht, kracht, instead of gracht. So try to leave the K, so kracht, try to leave it out and say echt gracht.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
So instead of like I kind of hear the K and then a G, so kracht, and
Gracht.
that's what you're saying like now, but you have to try to say gracht.
Oh,
So just start with the G right away instead of starting with the K. So gracht.
yeah, it's like the problem is
It's
yeah, I always struggle with the G's. Like it sounds like
yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's really difficult with the combination with the R. So the G and the R is really tough.
Also, we often sort of leave the R away when you say the G. So if I would say gracht, it's not if it is not clear how that is different from if there wasn't a R, then I would say gracht. It is kind of different, but it is not very. They kind of meld together like gracht, gracht, gracht. It's difficult, and the G. This is, I guess, it is a specific thing in Dutch because normally in English the G, like in great, is very close to the K because the G is kind of the voiced version of the K, just like the D is the voiced version of the T, like G and K. Those are kind of the same sound, but then voiced. But in Dutch they are not. They are very different. So in Dutch the K and the Y are very different. So the K is a plosive, just like the G, but the Y is not, and the G is also not. So that's, I guess maybe it makes more sense if you focus on not restricting, which sounds kind of weird when talking about the Dutch G, but kind of not blocking the airflow if we're trying to be very literal. So gracht becomes, how strange that may seem, more smoothly than kracht, because with the k you kind of block the air and then explode it out.
okay.
Could you try it one more time?
Yeah. Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. Dus gooi geen gooien groenten in de grote gracht.
Yes, there's definitely the grote and the groenten, groene groenten. That sounded a lot nicer. Good. The only thing I would add is maybe the OE in Dutch is always pronounced as oe. So it's groene groenten instead of gewone groenten. It's always one sound. But
Yeah, I always forgot with the vowels. I
yeah,
always see the vowels and I pronounce it as it's written.
yeah,
I always
it makes sense. Where are you from?
Spain.
Ah,
So
yeah.
in Spanish, it's written the same way it's pronounced. So for me, I see two vowels and it's those two vowels.
Yeah, indeed. Dutch is a bit more literal in sound to word correspondence than English, but it's not nowhere near as close as Romance languages, unfortunately. So you have it a bit tougher than people who speak German. But you're doing well. Nice. Definitely already sound better, and it's good that you try to challenge yourself with the difficult ones. All right, we're going through this slowly. Filippo, which one would you like to do, and how mean
Number
do you want us to be?
5.
Okay.
Jeukt jouw jurkende neus ook zo als mijn jurkende neus jeukt?
Very good. How strict would you want us to be?
Straight. Very
Okay.
nice.
Okay, could you say it again?
Jeukt jouw jurkende neus ook zo als mijn jurkende neus jeukt?
Yeah, very good. I think your pleasure the o in jeukend you do very good in the Dutch way, but in the nose you do it more in the Flemish way. You say more like neus rather than nose, and that's very exaggerated. Could you try that? Nose.
Neus.
Yes, that's very good. Could you say zo?
Zo.
Yeah, so in Dutch we also kind of sort of diphthongize that. So it's not well, it is like o, but then afterwards there's sort of like an oo sound. So o instead of o. So could you try that? Zo.
Zo.
Yeah, that's more like it. Could you try it again?
Jeukt jouw jurkende neus ook zo als mijn jurkende neus jeukt?
Yes, very good. Although now with the yoke, you make it more the other way. But the nose was very good, and the oak was also very good. It was ook heel goed. So nice. Yeah, no, very good. That's a nice tongue twister you picked, but you did very well. I don't have really any other comments. You have, Avery?
Yes.
Do you have any other things?
No,
Yes.
it was the same as what you said. Just,
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. Okay, Yasmin. Which one do you want? How strict? Everyone says strict. You don't have to pick strict. It's fine. If you don't want it.
You can be strict.
Okay.
It's fine. Okay. I actually chose the 7th, but now I have to change.
Oh, no, you don't have to.
so-
You're allowed to pick.
Oh, well, the 8th.
Okay.
Now. Okay. In de gezellige winkel verkopen ze hele goede gele hoeden voor een prima prijsje.
Could you do it again?
In de gezellige winkel verkopen ze hele goede gele hoeden voor een prima prijsje.
Yeah. Prijsje, it's in the dia, it's a full, there's EO instead of, I think that's prijsje, it says prosje.
Oh, yeah. In the
I think it's the confusion maybe. So it has to be prijsje instead of proosje. Prijsje.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, very good. I really like how you pronounce winkel. That sounds very Dutch. That's also one that we didn't mention. At the end of Dutch syllables and words, because those are always ends of syllables, the L sounds different than at the start. We didn't mention this, but some of you did this. Not a lot of L's at the end happened here. So at the start of a syllable, it's the bright L, we call it. So in laat, but at the end of words, like here in winkel, it's the dark L. Ooh, mysterious. And the difference is kind of with the bright L, you have your tongue like kind of like kind of high, and with the dark L, you have your tongue more like this. Kind of more, take some more mouth space. It's kind of like a small difference, but that does sound very different. And I think that's one of also if you're from Germany, I think in Germany you almost always use bright, and having bright L's at the end of sentences while having otherwise very good pronunciation with German. That sounds kind of German. So if you do the dark, then it sounds good. So you did that well. Oh yeah, in the slide it says de instead of deze. But that's fine. Deze gezellige winkel verkopen ze hele goede gele hoeden voor een prima prijsje. I got caught up in my L story, so I kind of forgot exactly what I want to say. So could you once again say the sentence?
So, in de gezellige winkel verkopen ze hele goede gele hoeden voor een prima prijsje.
Yeah. Okay, so I think two things, and it was indeed these are the difficult ones, which are the normal sounds that are also diphthongized in Dutch, but they're not explicitly so. So the O, so you said verkopen, and that sounded more, I don't know exactly what it is, but in Dutch you would not say verkopen, but you said verkopen. It's very exaggerated. But O, it goes from an from an O to an U. Oh, verkopen. Sounds kind of dumb if you say it like that. But that makes a difference. And also the A. So the A is not just straight A, like A, but it goes to an E, sort of A. Hele goede, hele leuke, and not hele leuke. That makes quite a difference. So verkopen en hele. And gele, obviously. But otherwise, very good. So could you, for the last time?
Okay. In de gezellige winkel verkopen ze hele goede gele hoeden voor een prima prijsje.
Yes, very good. Nice. All
Thank
right.
you.
Great job. Ariana.
I picked 3.
Okay. How strict?
Yeah, you can be strict.
Okay, I guess everyone. Cool. I like that spirit. Okay, go for it.
Oh, yeah, and I picked it because I wasn't sure how to pronounce the first one.
Okay, that's good that you didn't pick it.
Gooi geen groene groenten in de grote gracht.
Could you say it again?
Gooi geen groene groenten in de grote gracht.
Yeah. No, very good. So you pronounced the first one perfectly. It's not gooi. So this is kind of weird because normally you would say o is o, but you don't say gooi, but you say gooi. So long o, kind of gooi. But you did it very well. Gooi geen groene groenten. I think with the grote, I also noticed that you not really diphthongized the O. So it's more like grote instead of grote. And that's, again, exaggerated. But otherwise, it sounds very good. Could you try it again?
Gooi geen groene groenten in de grote gracht.
Yeah. The only thing I would also add is in groenten, don't emphasize the N as much. Just say groente in de grote gracht. I think that if you say groenten in de grote gracht, then it also sounds less natural, I would say. But very good.
Groente in de grote gracht.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Nice. All right. And then finally, Simona. This took way longer than I thought, sorry.
Okay, I picked 8. So you did that already, but you can still be strict.
Mhm.
In deze gezellige winkel verkopen ze hele goede gele hoeden voor een prima prijsje.
Could you say it again?
In deze gezellige winkel verkopen ze hele goede gele hoeden voor een prima prijsje.
That was really good. It was difficult.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I would mention is again the N at the end of verkopen. Verkopen.
What did you say about it?
So in deze winkel, you said in deze winkel verkopen ze hele grote. I would say verkopen. More like that. Ze hele grote gele hoeden voor een prima prijsje.
Yeah, and with verkopen also like verkopen. I think also like you kind of made it like verkopen, like an
Cool.
E sound in it, but just like verkopen, like really the
But
O.
not N.
No, not
No,
emphasize verkopen. So not
yeah.
verkopen, but verkopen.
Yeah.
So the O.
But indeed, the N, yeah, in the sentence you wouldn't say the N clearly.
No, not the sense, but verkopen.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Could you say that one more time? It was very good, so it was
In deze
difficult.
gezellige winkel verkopen ze hele goede gele hoeden voor een prima prijsje.
Yeah, very good. Only is minor. Usually, EEN in this form would be pronounced as un. It's kind of the difference between saying a car and a car. You say één prima prijsje, and it makes it a bit more emphasized and sounds a little bit more old-fashioned, but it's not wrong at all. But in
Wait, so
general,
here you say un?
Yeah.
But it's the same as
one, yeah. But one you usually write with two accents on the e's. Then it's always één. That's unambiguously één.
Ah, okay. And prima prijsje.
Yeah, that's very good.
Great.
Okay. So that exercise went on a bit longer than I anticipated. Well, that's okay because we didn't have that much planned at the end. Only like some brainstorming about the next thing that we're going to do next week, and the next thing, I mean, final thing, which is the presentations. Do we have a slide about this? Let's see. I don't think so. And apologize for not giving you a break. We'll just end like in a bit. No, okay, I don't have slides for this. That's fine. So for those of you not in the know yet, which I don't think is any of you, but next week is the final lesson of the course, sadly. And of course, the final thing has to be some sort of examination. But no worries, we won't grade you, and we won't be as harsh as we, or like annoying as we just were. Instead, it's more like kind of show what you have learned and tell us something cool. So the thing is that we already mentioned last week. You have to give a presentation of 5 minutes, either by yourself or in pairs. And I knew that Irene and Filippo, you wanted to do in pairs. If anyone else wants to do it with someone else, potentially, you can send us before tomorrow. No, like tomorrow as well is fine. If you send us a message like, hey, I would like to maybe do this with someone else, but I don't know the other people that well or whatever, then we will match you up and you can do it together. But if you do it together, you have to talk a little bit longer, like 7 minutes, which sounds quite long, I would say it, but it's doable. You're with 2 people. You can do it. I believe in you. And you have to talk about whatever your heart desires. And that can be difficult. So there's a lot of things to talk about. People have talked about it, and you don't have to talk about something. You can also do something or argue for something or, write something ahead of time and read it, sort of. But then it has to be kind of special, like or special. Just some examples. I said this last time, but in case some of you weren't there, people have in the past done things such as read out a poem they wrote in Dutch, or have a fake interview with people, give an argument for why you should vote in the upcoming election. Some people have done, which I really liked, done an impersonation of me giving class. Other people have done like sketches or just general conversations about something they found interesting, or just went through everything we did in the booklet in one tight presentation, or just talked about what they do for their thesis or for their job, and they like to talk about whatever. Pick something that you feel comfortable talking about or want to be good at talking about. You can just have a conversation with someone or read out loud or introduce yourself or something. But I think it might be more fun if you have something that you like talking about naturally, like, I don't know, what you're doing for your studies or something related to that, or something completely different. Kind of similar to the prompt we gave you for the article, but here the audience can be whatever. And the audience is us. You can just tell us something cool. Or not. You can just do whatever. Really, it is up to you. And I fully trust you to be able to do something cool. There won't be any grading. If you show up and do the thing, you will give you a certificate, because you have been, all of you now have taken enough course of the classes to be able to. I'm losing brain power.
You receive certificates.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. So don't worry about us being harsh on or trying to be perfect in order to not get criticism. We won't be harsh at all. We'll just try to have a good old-fashioned time. That is it. If that is unclear, feel free to message us on wherever. If you are having trouble or are not able to, if you're not able to make it, you can send in a presentation. But ideally, it would be nicer if you would be able to make it, of course, because then you could see the other presentations, etc., etc. All right. So it is next week. Send us a message if you want to be teamed up with someone. That's it. Hope you enjoyed the course until now. But we'll get sentimental next week. Good luck. En tot volgende week.
Succes en tot volgende week.
Dankjewel, tot volgende week.
Doeg.
Doei.
Doei.
Doei. Dankjewel.
Dankjewel. Tot volgende week. Doei.
Tot volgende week. Good. Top. Oké, die oefening die duurde wat langer dan...
Maar op zich, het is ook voor de anderen wel leerzaam, denk ik, gewoon om ook te luisteren hoe een soort van mensen, maar een soort van lotgenoten, hoe zij praten, zeg maar, of het, ja, daar leer je ook wel van. En dan wat er, ja, ons commentaar daarop is ook denk ik wel gewoon leerzaam, dus ja.
Ja, nou, ja, inderdaad. Het is inderdaad wel goed om een keer te doen.
Ja.
En het is moeilijk om dat, zeg maar, een beetje casually in te verwerken in gewoon normaal feedback. Ja. Omdat we normaal zijn we niet zo streng op uitspraak. Dus ik denk wel goed om een momentje daarvoor te hebben.
Zeker. Ja, om even gewoon een moment goed bij stil te staan. Ja.
En er komen ook al die kleine dingen bij op die ik eigenlijk ook was vergeten om gewoon een keer te zeggen. Van dat je dat meer O is in plaats van O. Precies. En die L, dat je niet L, maar L. Dat is ook van die dingen waarvan je ook gewoon als Nederlands spreker niet aan denkt. Maar dat als je dat niet anders... Dat voor mij klinkt dat echt super Duits als je het dan zegt winkel.
Ja. Ja, nice. Ja, het is ook wel leuk om even te horen hoe ze het zeiden. Ja.
En ik vond Simona was echt heel goed. Dus echt,
Ja.
echt
Ja.
bijna niet...
Bescheiden, ja.
Ik bedoel, ze was ook al laat, dus ze kon alle tips wel horen. Maar nog steeds.
Ja, dat is waar.
Ik denk niet dat je dan nog steeds dat je dan niet...
Niet meeneemt, nee.
Nee. En ook omdat ze... had hij ook helemaal geen Nederlands. Ze doet ook de beginnerscursus, dus.
Oh.
Tegelijk. En dus dat is ook... Ja, I don't know.
Ja.
Pretty impressive.
Ja, nice. Nou, top. Dan zien we elkaar volgende week weer.
Ja, kijk ernaar uit.
Yes, ik heb er echt zin in.
Ja, hoef niks voor te bereiden, lekker.
Ja, ik ben echt benieuwd gewoon waar ze mee komen. Het is echt leuk.
Ja, heel erg leuk.
Top. Yes,
Right.
tot
Tot
dan.
volgende week, fijne avond.
Ja, succes met je thesis.
Yes, dank
Yes,
je.
doei.
Zo zal het worden. Later.
Doeg.